Right, we are back. We're going to be trying to draw some hearts into our resin. I was chatting to one of my viewers the other night, Michelle, just discussing this. I did mean to do this in hashtag 62, video number 62, but I completely forgot. So we're going to do this in 3 ways. We're going to go back to hashtag 62 on this mould. So that will be using the liquid pigments, which aren't heavy. So we can do these ones straight away pretty much. And on this mould we're going to try a pigment paste method and also a mica powder method. So with these ones we're going to have to wait for the resin to thicken, but with this one here with the liquid pigments we can pretty much go straight away. So it shouldn't matter what resin you're using either for these. It's just the waiting time for this side, and just learning your resin and knowing kind of when it's thick enough so you can add those pigments so they're not going to sink. So I'm going to be using the collaboration resin for this. Let's get mixing. So my resin is now poured into both of the moulds. I'm just waiting for the bubbles to rise, and I still have enough left for all the methods that we're gonna create. But we're going to start with method 1, following that hashtag 62 video. And you can see I've left just a millimetre or 2. I've only done the 3 cavities in this one. So now we just need to follow our previous video and just mix up a small amount of our colour with our resin. That'll be for our red. And then we're going to layer it with our white pigment as well. I'm not going to add the alcohol ink to it this time. I just want to see how it goes as it is. So again, these are the resin liquid pigments. They're non-opaque. So we're going to grab our red and our whites and just thoroughly mix those up. And I've changed my mind. So I said I was going to layer them, same as video 62. I've changed my mind. I'm actually going to make the colours opaque instead of layering. So that's 4 drops of red in the top one, and then we go for a purple in the bottom one. And then just a couple of drops of our white in each, just to help it make it opaque. Then we're just going to thoroughly mix those 2 colours. And there you'll see the white is making the colour opaque. So you don't want it to be translucent for this. Add more white if you wish, but you can just see how opaque that is with just a couple of drops of the white. So that one is good. And there is our purple. It's kind of more of a lilac, but that's absolutely fine. So with this method we don't have to wait for the resin to thicken. Because these liquid pigments aren't heavy, they won't sink. So now it's just a case of dropping our colours into the resin. Depending on the size of the blob will also depend on the size of your hearts that you're making. So you can add more. It'll give it a kind of puffy. Doesn't matter, I've got a little blob in there, I'll fish that out. I got out as much as I could, but you can see there's still some in there. So we can now get, they're not perfectly round because where I've just disrupted the resin. We can then just stir in our hearts. This might be a better idea to do when the resin's thickened, but we're just going to see what they come out like now. That's not very good. Yeah, they're not very heart shaped. So I think what we'll do with the others is we'll add them and then come back and use something a little bit finer than this. Maybe a pin, a drawing pin or a needle. So we're going to continue and just add our colour, and then we'll come back and stir, and when the resins become a bit thicker. I think we'll go with the 2 colours in this one. And just add in 2 blobs of each one. So now we just have our heart left. We'll go with both colours in this one as well. And as always, massive shout out to my channel members, anyone new to my channel as well. Thank you for subbing in. To anyone who's bought me a coffee or a super thanks. It's amazing support, thank you very much. I'm just going with our red. I'm just trying to think of how I'm going to stir these. I think I'll go for one more in the middle. So that is that side done. Right, let's move on to the other 2 methods. So method 2 will be with our pigment paste. So we're using the Armour Art. Now this is heavier, so we can't add this straight away because it will sink. But we only need a small amount. And then just mix that in. And this is already opaque, so we don't need any white for this. So there is our red mixed, and we're now just going to pop that in a piping bag and let that sit until it's time to put in our hearts. Now just to mix up our mica powders for the other one. So I'm going with an orchid and a gold pink. Now you don't need to add loads to this, just a couple of dashes. Have I opened my gold pink? Yes. I've taken the lid off because I've got that safety cap still inside. Just hope it doesn't all come out at once. Oh, and it has. Whoops. So that one is the orchid. Just make sure you've got no lumps in there. Just thoroughly mix that one up. Not sure what I'm going to do with that one now. I might just mix it. And there is our gold pink. It's a bit thicker because that amount of resin that I put, mica that I put in there. But again, we're just going to pop those in piping bags as well. And we're going to wait until the resin, stand up, until the resin is thick enough so that we can continue. But I'll let you know how long that's been. See you in a bit. This bit's really important. I skipped this part out by accident. When you've got your bags in the, well, your piping bags ready, don't stand them up, because resin cures faster when it's deeper. So it's the mysterious way of resin curing. But if we stand these up, that's going to be deeper than what our moulds cavities are. So these are going to thicken up before the resin inside the moulds. So lay them down so they're roughly the same depth as our cavities. So that way, if these thicken up too quick but the resin in the mould doesn't, and we add these are probably going to sink because they'll be heavier. Right, I'll see you for the next part. Right, so we're back with method 1 for the stir, and they've got a bit of an offish shape. They're not really round like I'd want them to be. I've got a bubble there, I hope I can pop that. Right, let's see. We're just going to go through. I don't think these are going to be very heart shaped. No, they're not at all. It's very just back to how they were in the last video that I did with this. We'll try just pushing in the top I think the other two methods going to be much better. That's better. See, that's just drawn too much of a gap through the centre there. That might still turn out okay. We'll see. Not too bad. So now, I think what I'm going to do, just with these ones down here, I know the right hand side doesn't look very good. I'm just going to see if I can get these a bit better on the left side. And then we've still got to wait to come back to the other two methods shortly. Okay, now for method 2, which is the red pigment paste. So it's been about 90 minutes. You can see it's quite thick now. I'm just hoping it's not too thick. So we're going to just snip off the end of our piping bag. And this is going to, I've got a feeling this is going to be a little bit tricky to make them perfectly round. I've only ever done this with lines. So I think this is going to be a little bit more difficult because it's, see what I mean, it's quite stringy. I may have to abort. We'll see how it goes. I'll try and get some perfect hearts in there, but it will be a case of trial and error with this. But you can see what I'm trying to do. Right, I'll skip this part. I'll just get them in there and then I'll show the stirs. So the trick is definitely to kind of apply it to the resin and then hold it up and make sure it's held straight so that the resin can fall off, so it doesn't do what this one did and go to the side. And just be patient. Just let that resin fall off as best you can. Right, and always be careful. I just lent my hand into that one. This is going really well. Now for method 3, we're just going to go in the same with our mica powders. I'll just do a couple and then I'll skip the boring part. Same as the pigment paste, but we've got 2 colours. Just try not to let it fall onto the resin over the side of the round area. And now for our second colour. So there you can see both of the micas done. Now I've just got some of my wire wrapping wire. It really is a shame about this one. And now you could do this in one continuous. We might try on this one because it has gone wrong. Kind of going like one continuous. Let me change my angle. This one has gone wrong, so we might as well just stir it and just see what we get. Really thick. So this one isn't really going to be very hearty. But I had to do something because it did go wrong. I'm quite happy with the effect that's given. So with the others, I'm going to do this mica one next, and then probably just do the other ones off camera. You kind of get what I'm doing, but I'm going to do this one at a time. really thick. Could have come to it a bit sooner, I think. I was just worried about leaving it, or not leaving it long enough so that the pigments could sink. We don't want that. You can see what I'm doing, just one at a time. And then hopefully we'll get some hearts. The first method is definitely the easiest, by far, if you get it right. And they haven't sunk, which is good. Just depends on what they come out like on the other side. But I'm going to continue and then we'll see what we get. So there we have them. I'm happy with some of them, not all of them. These ones are really cute. It's just tricky to get that definition sometimes. Some of them are okay and some of them aren't. But I don't know whether to top some up with some ink. What do I do? Will the red clash with a black background? I wouldn't have thought so, but it could hide the red. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to leave them. I'm just going to, maybe the ones that we, well, I say we, I messed up. I'm just going to add some black ink to. So it's 1, 2, and then 1 on the other mould from the first method. And then we'll see you for the exciting part. Right, I'll see you for the demold. Okay, you might be asking why they're all black. Well, I was using my alcohol ink and it fell over and it just covered them all. You know what I'm like, I couldn't resist it. But I did go in with all of the black alcohol ink. Ugh, tongue tied, it's too early. I went in with the black alcohol ink in all of them, but it went a bit patchy, so I had to top it up with some black mica powder. But let's see what we've got. This is the side with method 1. This is, we know this one went a bit funny, but we've got some hearts anyway. But this side was just a bit ugh. Bit yucky. Oh, that's much better. Much better. Could have done with a little bit more of a point like that top right one, but it's still there. And I think this is the much easier way of doing them. But if you want to use mica powder, you're going to have to wait for that timing to be right. This is the one that we just swirled. Didn't expect any heart shapes in this one. It's still really cool. Right. Method 2 was the pigment pastes. Let's start with the heart. Now I really think I should have gone in a bit earlier with these. Sorry, my camera's wobbling. That's better. Let's see those hearts. Not so much on that one, but the other ones are pretty cool. Yeah, we've got hearts there too. You could put more in, you could do it in any kind of pattern you want really. Last one for the pigment pastes. Oh yeah, with this one we just swirled as well. That's still really cool. You've got some hearts. Well, one there, just an elongated heart. Right, on for method 3. Let's start with the heart. This is the mica powders. I'm wondering if we've got any bubbles. Oh, we've got some good hearts at the top. The middle one's not so good. Got an okay one there. You could do this in one flow, but I think to do that you'd need to come to the resin a little bit earlier than what I did. This one we just swirled. We've got some hearts in it still though. This is what I mean by one fluent flow. It's just a shame that one there and the middle one didn't come out. Again, I think my resin was just a bit too thick. And where I added a bit too much there, it sank. But it's still really nice. Last one, as always guys, give the video a thumbs up, drop me a comment. If you're not following or subscribed, hit that button there for me, help support the channel. We've got one or two. But I think, even though we were going for hearts, I think I do love these ones the best. And maybe some of the hearts in this one. Right, I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now.